according to the Daily Telegraph, which of these has been banned from the local church hall? The answer is the witches.
The Witches, not the Jeremy Vile fan club. More on that in a moment. You're watching The Right Stuff, of course. We're live on 5 with Gail Porter, Steve First, and our special guest, Cherie Lunghi. Still to come this morning. Why ban smoking in cars with children on board? If the police can't stop people using their mobiles behind the wheel, what chance of stopping mums and dads smoking in cars? 0207 173 5555 is the number if you've got something to say. Am I being overly negative? Just for a change. But first, what's making headlines today, Cherie?
OK, so the headline in the Daily Telegraph is Treasury Minister quits over £17,000. Tax does, so it's more of the same. Also on the internet, you can now access details of their...
Oh, it's out, isn't it?
It's out, yeah. It's out, but there's a lot of blanking out. It's very selective, and what's blanked out is the crucial information as to which home was which. And which home these expenses for food, telephone, cleaning apply to.
This looks good. Oh, that's a good one, this one.
That's
helpful.
Yeah, that's really helpful, isn't it?
Read all about it.
You know, we're going to be very informed,
That
aren't we?
one, this one... I mean, this is a lot of black ink here.
Yeah, it's a lot of nothing to read. And then what I wonder about is, OK, it shifted the focus from the bankers, hasn't it? Because the bankers have got, you know, they're large figures, the bankers. We've forgotten all about the bankers.
I'm glad you said
None
that.
of whom have been stripped of their knighthoods, I hasten to add. But what's interesting is...
have you had enough of MPs' expenses yet? Do you think...
Yes. Oh, it's overkill. Yeah, enough already. Let's move on. Yes, definitely.
That's what I think.
But what about the little people who sit there accepting this thing? Oh, yeah, all right, that's fine, and handing out the money, who actually make the choice to hand over the money?
This is where it all gets really, really muddied, because it is true that I think certainly from the early 90s, the MPs never took a pay rise. Every time their annual pay rise came up, whoever was in charge would say, we're not taking it, because it'd be an awful thing to do when the country's in such a state, because the country's always in such a state. And then it was accepted that the way they could make up their money was going to be on expenses.
That's right.
And the understanding... The unwritten rule was hand in everything, and the fees office will sort out what can go through and what can't. You hand in your duck house, the fees office looks at it and thinks, no, that's unacceptable, and throws it out. And I kind of almost feel sorry for the duck house thing, because it was an expense that was rejected. I almost feel sorry for MPs, because the ones that have been chucked out, by and large, the flipping is something different, even though it was within the rules. But this idea that, oh, how could they have claimed for this and that, that's what they were encouraged to do.
Yes, so they felt entitled because it was in lieu of a pay rise.
Absolutely. They weren't doing it to deliberately defraud
And
the
it is
country.
a very small percentage of MPs as well, it should be stated. It's not, you know, it's not as though the lion's share are doing it.
Yeah. What else do we have? Do we have anything, Cherie, that isn't expenses related?
What else have we got in this pile? We've got... do we want this one?
We do that. That's strictly our
have we got...
gypsies.
Oh, gypsies.
No, Romanians.
Paperwork is not my strong point. You should see my kitchen table. Well, this is very sad. The racist attacks on Romanians in Belfast. I don't know the details, but it's just very sad that people should pick on people because of their race.
They moved 100 out of their homes yesterday, and I think there were more attacks last night.
This always makes me very sad, when people are picked on for their race.
It was very interesting that in the Vox Pops did it on the BBC yesterday, everyone under 40 seemed to say, I don't understand why this is happening, it's wrong, these people are coming over to make a new life, if there's opportunities for them, we should let them. And everybody over 45 said, we don't want them here. That's the problem.
Well, there's the kind of overall view that people are coming here and getting everything for nothing and getting put straight in, and that may be true in some cases. I have relatives in the north of England, and I know in their street, you know, that is what happens, and there's a feeling of resentment, quite naturally. But it's not always the case. I don't know enough about this.
It's quite interesting to see Martin McGuinness say, isn't it shameful to see people's anger being taken out on innocent children and their parents, and then thinking about the IRA, and, to be honest, the UDA and all the other paramilitary organisations that did just that for 30, 40 years.
Yeah, you kind of wish that someone could effect a kind of meeting with these people and the local people that brings them together so they see what they have in common, which their parents think they've got children, they want to earn a living. I wonder if people ever make it possible for these people to actually get to know one another, see each other as human.
Good point.
And not just as these Romanians who've come over to take our houses, etc. I don't know if anybody works at that.
Well, I'm sure they do. I mean, there are community centres that try and build bridges between communities. That's what a community centre's for, and I know there are places in London that do that. But yeah, I mean, I think it probably takes things like this, unfortunately, for there to be a reaction to that and to try and gel communities together. So.
OK. OK, let's get on to Arlene Phillips then. What's happened to her?
Well, it says Arlene has been told to Foxtrot. Arlene is leaving the show, apparently. Foxtrot Oscar. I don't... First of all, I don't know if it's true.
No. Alicia Dixon was on GMTV today, and she didn't...
What was she saying?
Well, she didn't really say one way or another, which makes me wonder if it is true
or...
wanting
her to be the new judge.
The new
to
judge.
take over from Arlene.
So, woman with 40, 50 years of dance experience
Incredible.
and choreography, replaced by a woman who won dance
dancer.
competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't
But,
seem...
of course, the newspaper's harping on to the old age thing as well.
Right.
You know, we want to appeal to younger viewers, and we want it to be raunchier.
It's already hugely, hugely popular. Why would you want to change it? It works.
Well,
Well, I think it's because of what they've seen with Cheryl Cole on ITV, on X Factor, is that it just keeps it up there. It keeps it in the tabloids. It becomes more attractive in the same way Alicia is kind of the
well, she's
Cheryl
so
Cole.
popular. She's got a great personality.
But she doesn't know anything about dance relative to Arlene.
Well, this is true. If you're going to judge it on dance, that's very true. But I have to say, I went on tour with the show, and my first-hand experience with the live audience was that it has an incredible appeal right across the board. I don't know I don't understand why they're so preoccupied about having to draw in another element of the audience. It seems to have a massive appeal already. But, you know, who knows what's
true. As you said, it may not even be true.
Exactly.
OK, Steve, what have you got?
You've got Len Goodman. So the first story in The Sun, it's a wonderful headline on the cover of The Sun, on the front page. Lou goes there. This is an Afghan intruder who secreted himself on a coach from... They're not actually sure where he got on. They think, obviously, Afghanistan. But it did make several stops. But it did make several stops on the way to England, and he
there he is. Yeah. I see him.
He's just gelled in beautifully, hasn't he? Yeah, and now he's serving 4 years at Sandhurst. He's going to be a captain in the army by the time he leaves.
Can you imagine? You think you're just going to sneak into the country unnoticed, and you get out and you find yourself in the military of a military academy surrounded by people with guns.
And then, worse than that, in Camberley. I once had an ex-girlfriend. I had an ex-girlfriend from Camberley. I can't talk about it. But it is extraordinary that, of course, the Sun...
Did she dump you?
No.
OK, all right, OK.
No, but they are saying, of course, he could have been a suicide bomber. He could have been this. He also could have been Richard Gere. But it does beg the question. It's a military academy, and he got in, and he was just stood in a footwell of the toilet. So, extraordinary. Second story in the Times: school leavers face toughest time looking for employment in 15 years, following on from yesterday's unemployment figures. And obviously, this unemployment figures are going to go up come the summer because of A-level results and so forth, and people looking for jobs, and there aren't any anymore. So the prediction, of course, is going to be at least another year before companies start to recruit again.
It's quite interesting reading interviews with graduates and what their plans were, and far be it from just, oh, we're going to go on the dole, it's we're doing voluntary work here, we're working for a charity here, I'm going to work for a newspaper in Namibia and stuff like that. And it's, you know, there's lots of guys out there and guys and girls with a lot of get up and go.
But it's certainly different from when you and I were at college, where now, of course, I mean... to not go for a vocational course seems insane in this kind of day and age, you know, to get huge amounts of debt racked up with the prospect of no jobs. Thank God for David Beckham studies, eh? Surf management, where would we be without those courses? All washed up. Third story, thank you, it's in the Daily Mail. The mood of the Daily Mail today is, no! This is an extraordinary story. Is it about wheelie bins? It's about wheelie bad criminals. It's a pair of gangland murderers were locked away for more than 70 years collectively for crimes for shooting crimes in Manchester. They were part of a Mossad gang. And what the police did is they took the pictures of them when they went into prison this year, and they've shown pictures of what they will be like when they would be released at 68. Do they look like Richard Gere? Funnily enough, yes, the one on the left looks very like Richard Gere.
OK.
Now, but the extraordinary thing is that the families have complained about this being an infringement on their human rights again.
Which bit of their human rights?
Well, Liberty, the organisation that sticks up for people's human rights, have actually backed this. The case is, and they've said the case is not about protecting convicted criminals behind bars, but about safeguarding innocent family members who have done nothing wrong.
I still don't get it.
I don't get it.
How does an artist's impression of what someone might look like
I know. I don't know if it's.
rights?
I don't know. But the extraordinary thing is that I mean the police are just like, we're in the business of preventing crime. Things like this have been seen to work. So suddenly it's just extraordinary. And the last one, in case you're not aware, page 24 of the Daily Mirror, America is going to bomb the moon. There it is.
To find water.
Surprise, surprise.
To find water. It's a very small. They're taking a missile up to the moon to blow a hole in it to see if there's water or vapour in order to, if they had a moon base up there, it would help sustain the length of time they could be up in space next to the moon.
It's like listening to a scientist hearing you speaking about that stuff.
Very good, very detailed.
It's really not. It's really... I'm so out of my depth with this story or anything to do with science.
Are we going to have a pipeline from the moon to here? Because we're running out of water.
What a brilliant idea!
Yeah.
Or they could bring back
water.
Yeah, they could bring back the water in a British Army coach.
There you are.
Toilet water. Yeah, there we go.
Gail, what have you got, please?
Front page of The Independent, something that we've been talking about all week. Retreat. Gordon Brown is going to make a U-turn over the Iraq war inquiry. He's now saying, you know, they wanted to do it in private, and they've had so many people saying, no, we don't want it. Backbenchers are threatening to inflict a humiliating Commons defeat. And so basically he's now saying, oh, well, maybe we can do some of it in public and some of it in private. And also, two peers who chaired previous inquiries, Lord Hutton and Lord Butler, they both support the fact it should be a public inquiry.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Which is, yeah.
I still wonder, I have to say, I mean, I heard some cynics saying on the radio, and they're absolutely right, that even if part of it is heard in secret, we will forever wonder what that bit was and how important it was.
We're never going to trust what we hear
Exactly.
at the end of it, because there's always going to be something they're not going to tell us. Right, The Independent again. This is page 6. Stop and search. White people held to balance racial statistics. Basically, white members of the public are being stopped and questioned and searched, just basically so they can balance out.
How do they know it's not the other way around?
I don't know.
Well, whether it's whitewash on,
Whether
that,
it's
on
that
figures
That they
as well.
stop black and Asian people to balance out the number of
But
white
the
people
white
they've
people.
stopped.
It's
How,
unlikely.
it's chicken and egg. It's not, I know it's unlikely, but how do they know?
Yeah, true.
Long silence.
Yeah.
Ask those awkward
An
questions.
angel passes.
Sure.
Daily Mail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baby glow stops a tot getting too hot. This chap, Chris, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Ebiger, he conceived this idea, and basically it's a baby glow which comes in pink or green or blue. I don't know what other colours it comes in. But basically, once the temperature of the baby is getting too hot, it goes white. Not the baby goes white, the baby glow goes white. It just, well, you know, I'm sure it's a really...
Is it a really good idea?
No, well, surely, I mean, I'm a mum, you kind of know when your
Yes.
child is getting too hot. And it's quite expensive, it's £20.
That's the whole point.
For a
isn't it?
baby
Someone
glow.
thinks I can make money out of this.
Yeah, well, this guy spent £700,000 on this idea. Yeah, and he spent years of his life coming up with this idea. And he's saying it's going to help, you know, if children overheat.
Do you think it was inspired by those mugs that changed?
Yeah, exactly, or the mood rings.
Yeah.
Oh, if only a child did that. If we went into the Dragon's Den, he'd have lasted 30 seconds.
Don't say that. He spent
I'm out.
700 grand.
I'm out.
Baby glue, I'm sorry, I'm out.
Okay, anything else, go?
And the witches.
Witches,
The witches.
yes.
Yay, we're for witches. The Daily Telegraph, witches are cast out of the parish hall. Basically, the witches wanted, well, a coven of witches has accused the Roman Catholic Church of religious persecution because it was banned. They were banned for hiring the church hall for Halloween celebrations. The Roman Catholic, oh no, we can't come in here. Oh, witches.
I love the idea that the witches want to go to the Roman Catholic Church Hall in the
to have a
first
Halloween
place.
party, just come to mine. It's fine, but it's quite funny. So they're not allowed to go into their church, and they're upset about the Roman Catholics.
Of course, the Roman
Who
Catholics have
cares?
a long tradition of persecuting witches, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Malleus
Very
Maleficarum,
much so.
1535. Showing off again.
So there you
Anything
go,
else?
that's it.
OK, I want to ask you something else, because you were at the Bruno film premiere yesterday.
I did. It was really funny. I really enjoyed it. Some of it, it's getting to that stage now that, you know, You're not sure if it is real and how much he's actually staging himself. You know the joke, but I did have a really good laugh last night. And
funnier than Borat?
Just as cringeworthy. I did watch a lot of it like this. Oh, no. That kind of, you know, it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Did you see the pictures of him in the papers today with these big Busby on and these hot pants? He looked... Oh, there he is. There we go. Yeah. He looked beautiful.
Tasty.
That's my kind of man.
Indeed. Shall we move on? I think we... Is it the hairy hat that does it for you? Is that what it is?
It's the hair, yeah. I could borrow that hat.
Now, after the break, I'm going to suggest why we even want to bother discussing smoking in cars, banning smoking in cars when children on board. It may be what doctors want, but I'll say again, if the Rozzers can't be bothered to stop people using their mobiles behind the wheel, what chance of stopping parents smoking in cars? It's just another law. 0207 173 5555 is the number for your thoughts. Do we need a new law, just so ministers can sort of wash their hands and say, well, we tried? Or would education be a more effective weapon to use against irresponsible mums and dads? Your shout after the ads.
How many EU states have already banned smoking in cars? 1, 4 or 14? Find out the answer after the ads.